we're going to try to get something done here. So we got the wagon. Told you guys that I was going to bring you along with me on this. Best way to do it is to do it live. So this is probably going to be a pretty long video as long as this phone stays charged up. So I want to get the cutting this stuff out, hopefully. I got to mark it. A long road ahead of us here, so it's going to be time consuming. So hang in there with me. Got it set up. And then I got to go. It's going to be a lot of walking back and forth. Get tools and stuff. All right. Set that where it's not going to be in the way. And get in here. I don't know what they had going on here, but I just noticed that they had a brake line disconnected. I guess they bypassed it here. I don't even know if there's fluid. That mess. Well, on one side. That's a good sign at least. Alright. Now there's going to be a lot of stuff you're going to have to move and get out of your way. If you guys were watching last night, I made a video and came over was still in the car. I took that out last night after pulling the engine out. Try to get some of this stuff moved up over the frame rail because I really don't feel like pulling it all out and apart. Some of this stuff might not even get used again. But right now I'm going to remove this master cylinder. Try to at least, if I can get the socket to fit in there. Do so. This way it's out of the way and I ain't got to worry about it being right physically in my way when I'm trying to work here and mark stuff. Granted, I could probably go around it, but just these lines and everything. I was trying not to break any of this stuff loose because I really didn't want to have to do even more with bleeding the brake system. But it's looking like I'm going to have to bleed the brake system. So, grab more tools, get that apart. why these projects turn time consuming. Getting stuff like this out of the way does make it easier out of the way. If anybody's commenting, and I obviously can't see it, so I'll have to read all your stuff after. It's the first time doing a live video, so I really don't know how they work. I'll try to answer any questions if there are any. I'm trying to just bend this out of my way and let it hang. Not too bad. All right, so now that that's kind of out of our way, all right. Some of this stuff I have no idea where it even goes. This is pretty cool. I don't need this. This can come right out. The windshield washer, that's not being used anymore. Take that out. This booster is actually going to be coming out. Probably going to repaint this. Because when I do the 5-speed swap, I got to do the pedals. So the pedals, booster bolts to the pedals behind the dash. So this will actually be coming out and getting repainted. It worked fine, so I'm going to reuse it. Somebody painted it gold. I don't mind the gold, it's all the overspray they put on it that bothers me. So, not sure what color I'm going to do it yet, but it will be getting done. Alright, so now I just got to figure out what piece is what on this. Number two, this is engine side, so it must go like this. So this is going to go like that. It's going to require me to unbolt more stuff. Right now, I'm just trying to get the inside piece. So number one, top frame rail inside. So this goes like this. That's the piece I wanted. All right. So this is the whole frame rail piece right here. Side. I believe this is the top. Key member bolts. This is all going to have to be boxed. This goes like that. Or like this. Maybe. seem right to me. Granted, you gotta cut stuff and make stuff fit. See if I can get a better visual of this. Not look like it's fitting too well together. Let's bend some stuff a little bit. Alright, now I got these holes are a little off center. I don't know if you guys can see it. Well, this is off center. I'm not sure if it's because of the way this is bent here. Thinking that it kind of goes something like this, or maybe it goes like this. That probably is how that goes. Actually, that would make a lot more sense. It'd be nice if I had the factory frame rail to go off of, but I don't. So, I'll figure out which way they go. Maybe we can do something like this. The first time ever using one of these kits. I usually make these pieces. Usually take sheet metal, cut this out, fold it, and just do it that way with the sleeves in it. Trying to make this one right, but I might just have to do it the way I need to do it. And not care about what piece goes where. Because we got a lot of metal missing here, and all this is metal. It really doesn't matter which way it goes. So I'm thinking this piece here, after I cut this out, can go here, because that's going to bring me into this tower. That's why I use the long piece where I need it. A lot of this has to get cut out all the way up to here. And this piece has plenty of material to do that. So I'm thinking put that there. And then use this for my top. Whether I put it this way or like this, whichever way it fits in there. This is thicker though. The only thing. This is a really thick piece of steel. So I'd almost rather this here. Would be nicer, and then I guess I could just put a piece in there, regular old sheet metal or. Regardless, it's got to get boxed somehow. Alright, let's see. Take a look at this again. Alright, so number one. Engine side, top frame rail inside. This is the top frame rail inside. The issue is, so it must go like this. My understanding, top cable is this piece. So this, I'm assuming, would weld in like this. Which looks about right. And number 2, so it actually gets boxed like this. What I'm seeing. So, should go like this. Alright, we figured it out. And this is gonna go somehow like this. This might be wider maybe. Like that. So that's how it's going to go. It's a frame rail right there. Go in like this. I'm sure I got the right side. That'd be helpful, wouldn't it? Make sure that this is the driver's side that I'm looking at. They are marked differently. Should just be able to flip that around though. This is the stuff that's time consuming. Going through this, making sure it's right. And then after we start marking stuff, that's when it gets moving along. So this is the boring part that you guys get to see. I don't really think it matters. Side, it's going to be the same, I guess. So this one here for the time being. We also have these plates. Not sure what they go to. They're not even on the, what you can call it, the diagram. Top strut tower corner inside, so it must go like this. It's gonna go, I guess, like that. See if we use those or not, because I'm doing a different style setup here. This is all going to get tubed, these frame rails, so none of this is going to, I'm modifying it, so it's not going to be factory. I'm not looking for a factory job, just looking for it to be fixed and halfway clean. Alright. Now, figured out which way they're going to go. Start cutting stuff, getting it together. So we're going to cut. I want to mark where I want to cut stuff. Cut a lot of this out. and mark it, cut it, tack it in, get a K-member put in here and see if everything aligns up. And as long as everything aligns up after it's tacked in, then we can fully weld it in. So, that's where we're at. It's going to be a painfully long video. So if you guys want to sim through it, when you guys watch this later on, if you're going to use this to do yours, you can. I'm going to flip this plate over. This plate. Go back to the instructions. Top frame wheel inside. Side. Side. So this goes like this. Take this, I'm going to line it up with the back hole. It doesn't align. Alright. So this is going to get clearly cut all the way back into there, or I can cut this down. How do I want to do this? These are actually spot welded in. I might have to actually just cut this out completely. But I would like some sort of reference point. I have to grab a tape measure and measure where the hole's at in correlation, and then set this in here and mark where I need to cut. I'll be right back, grab that tape measure. Just hoping I can cheat it. I'm measuring the frame rail here that runs under the car. It's spot welded. I want to measure from this frame rail, the front of it, where it's seamed, underneath of the strut tower frame rail, and I'm going to measure to that bottom hole where the K-member goes in it. Looks like it's about a perfect inch, which makes life a lot easier, because now I can take measure right from the end of this hole, 1 inch. Now I have my mark here, so that's where that's going to go to that seam. It's going to be 1 inch away from this hole. So this is actually going to sit inside of here, if it'll fit, which is going to be fun trying to cut this all out back in here. I might have to actually take that booster out now to make more room, but at least I can cut forward. So help if all of this stuff was out of my way, steering shaft and all. grab a hammer, try to get that shaft out, which I'm guaranteed that will come out easy. Get this to come out. For the whole column, which I already saw that coming. As long as we can get that to go back in, I'm not too worried about it, and I'll get this separated later. I pull the column out of the car. Shift linkage out of the way. Using that anymore. Alright. That's gone. Let's see what we got. That's right in the way. Speedo cable. I guess it's 3/8 bolt. It'd be a lot easier if I had a lift, but fortunately I do not have a lift. This is how you do it in your backyard, guys. Push the brake line right in the way from that moving, preventing it from moving. And it's applied other crap. Good job. Alright, now that's out of the way. We'll take this, get it back where I want it. So this is going to go this way, but to get my mark, I'm going to flip it. Try to line this up. Granted, this is all getting cut. Really, I really don't have to do it this way, but to show you guys the way to do this, flip this around, align your holes up if you still have them. I'm missing one, so I'd align this back hole up, both of them, and mark this and cut it. So just to show you guys, so you get the idea. Sit that in there, throw a mark down, mark it across, and you'd be good. You could just cut that out. But being that mine is the way it is, it's going to be a completely different process. So if you got a car that's really bad, like mine is, then you'd be following this process. Like this frame rail over here, there isn't any. It's completely gone. You guys can see it or not, but this is all going in here. So there's really nothing left. This is all rot. So it's going to be a lot of cutting all that stuff out of there. So I'm going to grab an extension cord and have at it, basically. What I might do, like I said before, is set the K-member in using the back bolts and then just build it with the K-member just kind of dangling in here. And do it that way, because this thing's so messed up, it's not even funny. It's a nightmare job. All the other strut towers that I've had, not been this bad. Always had something to work off of, or you can kind of just cut the little bit of rod out and put a piece of sheet metal in it. This is by far the absolute worst that I've probably actually ever seen. So I'm just going to have at it and cut it. I have my calipers tied up, that's why there's wire up here. I want to make sure I'm not going to hit those while I'm cutting. It should be clear, so start over here, I guess. Well, I can unhook that brake line, but we just cut that. Get it out of the way. So all that in vain, moving all this stuff around. Alright, I'll have to get another cutting blade. Got most of it cut out. I could probably finish it. Whew, that's hot. Should have brought some pliers with me. Alright, so that's good news. These little plates that go in the back and the front, this one's still intact. So that's a good sign. The reason that's a good sign is because now I don't have to do that. It's one less thing that I have to do on this. Alright, I'm going to go grab a new blade, some pliers, and do some more cutting. That's a good idea. Let me put it right in the box. Alright. I brought a bunch of crap that I need. Cut off wheels from Benchmark Abrasives. That's where I get all that stuff from. All my cut off flap wheels, I order it through them because they're pretty cheap. This disc I'll save because I might be able to use it somewhere in a tight spot. But now I want a bigger disc and something new. Get the rest of this out. We'll do that. We'll get this out of here. Might have to do some more cutting. It's being held in on the inside there, so hold it back, get in there and cut that. Now I'm going to cut inside of this. Try to cut straight up. Probably hack it right here. fits through. Alright, so now I'm going to go on the inside of this, cut all this out. I have to take this over. Now you guys just saw me cut into this apron. This apron's getting all cut out, I'm not worried about it. That's why I just cut right into it. None of this is going to be here from this radiator support back. I'm cutting these aprons out. This is just going to have a piece of tubing through it. Nothing here. Battery's going to go in the trunk. Whatever I had mounted here, I'll either move it somewhere else or I'll make a mount for it to go from up here, because this is double rolled steel. So wherever it's double rolled, I think it's usually right about here. I'll cut this on an angle. So this will be cut right about here at an angle, taper in, and then this will just be thin. I'll probably leave it rolled so it's strong, but probably cut it about 1/2 inch or so underneath of that where this is contoured. So from here down all the way to this frame rail. Well, this frame rail is not going to be here, but pretty much from here all the way out it's going to be cut off, and then there's going to be a piece of 1 5/8" diameter tubing to take place of this frame rail. I'm going to get on the other side, cut the other side out. Same way. First I have to unbolt this brake line. I'm pointing to it like you guys can see what I'm doing. There's a brake line down there. It's got to come undone. So I'll do that real quick. Sorry you guys can't really see, but if you work on these cars or you go to work on it, you'll see what I'm talking about. They all have the same brake line mount, so you're not missing anything crazy here. That's all trash, basically. Let's see what we got. I don't even know why I'm cutting that out for. I ain't going nowhere. Okay, we've got some movement going on. So we got one bracket holding us up on this. I can get in there to cut it is the problem. Having it now. Yep, that's the issue. I can't get at it to cut it. I have to grab the sawzall. Try to get in there. Get that out. To it from this angle. One side out. That's what was holding my K-member in, minus a couple, if it makes you feel better, this was in there too. And some more rotted out metal that's laying on the ground. But this is it. It's your frame rail after being cut out. It's one side down. Mosquito trying to get me. And then this, I'll take a hacksaw and I'll cut all this off. You want to pull the inner wheel well liners out to do that. Look at that. So now for this side, if I want to go up as high as I did this one. Probably cut it right about here. Cut it down. And this is non-existent, so it doesn't even matter. This is missing most of the rail. There's not even, the part that wraps around is completely gone. So there's not going to be a ton of cutting, hopefully, on this side to get this apart. I'll start with this old blade and I'll put a new one on. Grab a screwdriver. Got a punch, screwdriver. These are hardened, obviously, so if you got bad metal, put some pressure behind it, this will go through the bad metal. So I'm testing to see how good some of this metal is. I don't have to cut it out, I'd rather not. Still going to take this back to here. I'm just trying to figure out my height, how high I want to take this. I might cut this, if I want to cut this square here, because this is strong here, but it has this spot in it. The back of this is not even touching the back of the strut tower. Cut this probably here. That is rotted. Yeah, then I'm going to take this here and down. Probably still cut at this seam. Maybe do it the way I did the other side. Cut this seam here. And forward and underneath, get that whole thing cut out. Remember how I said the little blade is nice sometimes? Hopefully you guys could see what I was doing that whole time. But these little blades are nice because this has a contour in it right here. And if you cut just straight down, you're going to cut into that contour of the bottom frame rail. So I'm going to cut down and then come in on an angle, and you can reach your cutting points to cut through that. So this little blade is nice to get in that tight spot. So that's why I keep like the worn out blades. This one's a little bit smaller than the one we were just using. But it's just the reason why I keep them around, in case you guys are wondering. So if you guys, I don't know how well you guys can see. I'm not pulling the camera off to zoom in and show you, but I'll explain it. So I have, I don't know where my punch went. I just had. I have a cut here. I have a cut coming up right here. Now this cut went past this one. So when I go to weld this, I'll fill that in with weld. That's not a big deal if you cut past, or if you have basically a mark. So you cut this way and you cut this way, you can fill this with weld up here. It's not a big problem if you overcut. Just more work to do later. I'll have to grind that to smooth it, because this is all going to be ground back down. I'm going to weld this in after I weld the new stuff in. So I'll be welded, and then when I'm done, I'm going to grind it so it's smooth and looks smoothed out. I like when they look smoothed out. I don't like the factory, how they overlap the seams and all that stupid crap. So me, this will all be smooth in this area. It'll contour in. You might see maybe a lip where it transitions from the weld. This isn't a showpiece. I don't care what it looks like. I just want it to be fixed. So that's what I'm shooting for. I'll have to get on the other side, pull that other brake hose off, cut this underneath of this frame rail, cut the other side, and this one should come right out from what I see. Check my battery. 46%. So we got a little while. Should be able to see me finish cutting this out. I think what I need. Blade, and then grab my impact. Really should unplug your grinders when changing a blade. This grinder is a pretty safe one though. You have to push the button down and push it up at the same time. So like me just pushing this isn't going to do anything. Literally have to push it up and hold it. So I'll just try to stay as careful as possible when I do this. Hand isn't really anywhere where it can you know, hit the trigger, so that's one reason why I do it. I don't want you guys thinking I'm being super unsafe. I'd rather explain it to you understand. But if you guys aren't into this stuff and you're not savvy, or you're just getting started, you're new, unplug it. No, don't be like me. Be an idiot. I'm gonna cut this out. Remember that contour I was telling you about in the bottom frame rail? Just cut into it. Holding this up. It's going to be that top bracket like the other side of the door. Starting to get in there to get that top bracket. Now twisting it up. Right in my way, I should just unlook it at this point. Get at that top bracket. too old for this. I need to start paying somebody. It'd be an easy way to do it, huh? Just pay someone to do it. Alright, I need a pry bar. I think I said I was going to get one of them earlier. A lot harder than it looks climbing in and out of that thing. See, I'm folding this in. It's nothing that can't be beat back with a hammer. I'm not too concerned about that. More concerned about getting this out. This can be fixed as long as I don't really move this. It's not that big of a deal. Which, me moving this isn't going to really affect this all the way down here. Not the minuscule amount that I just moved it, at least. Now I'm having trouble cutting this in here. It's like a little bracket. Looks like this. Welded to the top of the strut tower in here. The back side. So that's what's giving me an issue to cut. Trying to figure out the best way of execution. Thing, just go right in there and cut it like how I did the last one. Try to twist it off. There's no real pretty way of doing this, guys. When you start cutting this stuff, it's going to look scary. It's going to look ugly. And this is all stuff I'm not using. That's why I'm just hacking into it. But it's the type of stuff you got to do. You do this work. Got some gloves. That's what I should have did. Alright, here we go. This is where I was at. You can see where I twisted. I think that's paint. Yeah, it's paint. But you can see where I was twisting it, where it ripped the metal. It's actually good metal. You can see how shiny it is. It's not rotted. So that's our other strut tower that now is mangled. If it was that easy to mangle though, if this thing got in an accident, it would have been done. The motor probably would have been falling. The K-member would have got ripped out, depending on how bad and what speed the accident was. You know, it's why these cars, when they get like this, are unsafe so to speak. Alright, now we can see what we're working with a little bit better. This is definitely ugly. I might have to actually patch this up a little higher. Just cut that off. Get it out of my way. Whenever you work with this rusty crap, just be careful. You want to cut yourself. Remember when we bent this in? Fixed. Now, this is very thin, so welding this is gonna suck. Chop this here, because I didn't cut none of this. This right here, I didn't have to cut any of it. The whole front of that tower didn't have to get cut. That's how bad it was. I cut it here, cut it up top, cut it on the bottom, cut it from the back side. So this whole front of the rail, I didn't have to touch it. And now I'm going to touch it. Want to get that out of our way. I just want to get an idea of what I'm working with. Now, K members, they are slotted. You move them back and forth on these back bolts for alignment. And these plates, they move as well. They're slotted to the body. Not much, but you do have some wiggle room here. So as long as you get the K-member in, try to get it as square as possible, but you do have some wiggle room to work with. Now, when it comes to aligning the car, your wheels being aligned and all that, that's where it's going to cause a problem if you don't have this thing straight. The worst case scenario, if it isn't straight, you can make it up in alignment. Nothing's ever perfect, especially when you're working with old metal. This stuff moves. That's why you got old cars that need to be realigned. I might get some guys that tear me up for even saying that, all this, but if you're off under a quarter of an inch, which is a decent amount, that's a lot. That's a quarter of an inch in alignment is, it'll wear tires right out. It's a quarter of an inch. It's not a lot. What I'm saying is, if you are off, doesn't end up being 110% perfect, where everything's to the T square, you can make it up in your caster camber plates and in your rack when you do the alignment. So you can get the wheels facing the way they need to face, toe in, toe out, camber, caster, all that can be adjusted to work. My last Fairmont, I didn't have to do any of this to it. I put a Mustang K-member in it, took it to have it get aligned, and we could not get the thing aligned whatsoever. And that was factory, other than the K-member. But the machine kept saying that the car was out of alignment. So everything I set as close to possible where it was straight, and I sent it. Drove the car. After I did that, it drove good. Didn't wear tires out. fine. My point is, even from the factory, they aren't perfect. You're talking about metal that's tack welded over each other. Just a little bzzz. It's really not that strong. If I wanted to break this, if I took this screwdriver right here, pounded it into this, and worked it long enough with a hammer, as long as I didn't break this, I could pop these. These pop out. These spot welds. The stuff isn't the strongest as it is, let alone when it's rotted. So if you're doing this, if you don't have this right 110%, K-member bolts in, you think that you can get it straight, your wheels are centered to the fenders and everything where it looks alright, just go along with it. If you just happen to weld this stuff in and it's not 110% perfect. Now, I'm not saying just go ahead and offset it and it is what it is. Try to get it as straight as possible. But I'm saying if you're new, or if you've done it a couple times and you're still not 110% confident in yourself, I'll be honest, this kit to me is overwhelming. This is a lot more than what I do, usually. I usually take a piece of metal, I get something a little bit thicker than factory, I'll weld that in, I'll put the sleeve in, I'll weld the top in, and basically two sheets of metal with sleeves in it, just in a thicker diameter than what's stock. So I'll use something about this gauge. Not sure what this is offhand. I'm bad with that stuff. But I'll use a gauge like this for the whole thing. This is thicker than stock. This isn't a stock strut tower or stock Fox body gauge metal at all. This is more so the gauge that Ford used, which is about half of what this other plate is. It's pretty thin. So this is probably factory gauge steel. This is thicker. So this is going to be stronger. But the way I do them, like I said, I take something like this, I'll fold it like this, box it, again, box it, and that's it, with the sleeves in the middle. And honestly, how these sleeves have this bracket, I've done these where it doesn't even have the bracket in it. I just weld the sleeves fully around in the box, and then I'll put the other sheet over it. That's how I usually do them. But this one, I'm trying to be a little bit better, want it a little bit nicer. So this is going to be, it's a learning experience for me as well. It's just really one more step, and it looks more complicated because it's got more bends in it. But it's pretty much it. So I was hoping I'd get to some welding today, but I think I'm going to leave it here. I'm sure that video is long enough. I've probably been out here for almost 2 hours. So I'm going to call it here, because the next couple steps I do, you guys really don't need to see it. It's going to be cleaning some of this stuff up. I might even get this out of my way completely and cut this off. So that would just be pulling the front bumper out. There's 2 bolts up here in the front of the frame rails. Pulling the bumper out, taking a sawzall, cutting that straight up, cutting this straight up, and then putting a cut mark. That's really going to be it. Removing inner liners for the fenders. So it's really not going to be much exciting stuff here. You guys, as exciting as I guess it can get. Saw what the good stuff, cutting this stuff out. So when I go to weld it in, probably end up doing another live video if I'm able to, because it's just too much to edit and get all this stuff done, cut it down. It's a lot of work and I don't have the time. I'm trying to show you guys this stuff, and this is already taking way longer due to explaining it and trying to show you guys how this is being done. Right now I'm sitting here talking to the camera instead of doing this. So this is why you guys don't see a lot, unfortunately. But I'm also procrastinating a little bit right now. So probably going to end this in a couple minutes. Clean this up. Grind all this with a flap wheel. Get this all shiny so I can weld. This whole part isn't going to even be welded to anything. I'm going to have to take sheet metal and make this. It's flat. And then I got to get tubing still and make this frame rail here. So between that and then doing the floors, it's going to be fun. Real fun. Starting to get a little overwhelmed when I think about the stuff I have to do to this, because I wasn't expecting to do this much work. Hour and 18 minutes. Alright, so it wasn't 2 hours. But my battery's at 36%, so see if I can flip this around. There we go. So you can see what's cut out. It's a little bit better of an angle so you can see exactly what I cut. I'll show you from the inside too. You can see, oh, it's jagged. So I might clean that up. Try to clean that up and make it square so that way it's a little easier to put whatever I'm putting in there. New metal. Square is always easier to work with if you got a square piece of metal. This side you can see it's just cut, pretty cut and dry. This, break this off. That's not even going to be there anymore. This is all getting cut out. This whole, so when I cut this, I'll cut this probably right here. All the way up. This is the inner liner here, but this will get cut even. And then there'll just be an 1 5/8" bar that'll run from the strut tower forward. So I can show you what that'll look like. This has a whole tube front. Something like that, except it's going to be right to the tower. This will not, this piece isn't going to be in there. So it'll just run right to the tower. This will be cut flat, and then this I'll probably, I'm unsure if I'll take it to there or that seam. I'm going to take it right to here. Or I'll take it to the seam. You guys have it. That's pretty much it. I didn't know you could like swipe over and see comments. Alright, I'll have to go back and check all them out. But I can get them to disappear. I'm new to this. Alright. Well, there it is, guys. That's part 3 of this segment. First was getting everything out. The first 2. Really, the third one, I guess, should have been the K-member coming out. Like I said, I'm going to clean this up and then go from there. So hopefully I can weld this stuff back in either later or tomorrow sometime or Saturday, because we got some family stuff to do, so I got to see about tomorrow. But as of right now, if this doesn't take me too long, I'm ahead of schedule because I wanted this car rolling by next week. As long as I can get this stuff done, this doesn't fight me too much, then I can I think accomplish that goal, have it back up and rolling. So hopefully I can get this column back together since I pulled apart. So thanks for watching. I gotta figure out how to make this where it's not private when I save it. Hopefully I can just change settings on it so that way other people can watch it in their spare time. And until next time, guys, catch you guys later.